live button.
You did hit the live button, didn't you? That's cool.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
Morning, people. How are we doing?
I'm super really good. Oh, actually, no, I haven't been very good this morning. I've had a really rough morning.
Response.
Yeah. Melissa, you have to change to the gallery view again, or to the gallery view again. You set it up on speaker.
Sure. There we go.
Okay. And then I have to do the same thing and redo it and go to gallery. Sam Collett, welcome to the What's On at Elephant and Castle Facebook page. How are you doing, my friend?
I am doing grand today. Thank you very much. Yes. We continue.
We continue. Yeah. Could you, I know you so well, but the people at the What's On at Elephant Castle Facebook page need to get to know you. So can you give us a little kind of couple-minute rundown of who you are and what you do?
Crikey. All right. So I suppose I am a designer by trade. I'm also a techie kind of dude, and I do quite a lot of strategy stuff, and I do a lot of technology stuff. So basically, a long time ago, I trained as a graphic designer. I didn't really go to any of my graphic design classes. I went next door to the much cooler multimedia MA class, did loads of crazy stuff there, came back at the end of the degree and went, there's some stuff. And they went, okay, you're clearly mad, but okay, fine, here's a good degree. And then I got a job doing web design. I never used the web, ever. Didn't know what it was really. And I got a job doing web design using Flash back in the day. And that was 1997. Crikey. And since then, I've been doing web design and all sorts of digital stuff, loads of mad digital projects, some of them with you, Nick. We used to do games together. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I run my own agency, which is called Practically, which is based in Cheltenham. And there's 9 of us. And I also teach at Worcester Uni, and I teach web, obviously, and I teach graphics and multimedia. So that's fun. So I'm a kind of one of those kind of people that's got lots and lots of different things, but I think that's because I've been around for so long. There you go.
I just before you came online, me and Melissa were having a chat because you know, technology is now embracing our lives in a way that it hasn't before. I've always, like, as you know, I've known you for almost 20 years, and always kind of keeping a little foot in and a little foot out, trying to learn, trying to come up with ideas. It seems to, over the last year, specifically because of the circumstances where we're in, it's gone to another level now where even the discomfort of how I felt this morning, I texted Melissa, well, me and Melissa texted, I was like, I'm in a real funk. I don't really know why I'm feeling like this. But I have this feeling that it's because, like, I really just don't know where I am with regards to our business, you know, how we were initially set up to be like a company that works face to face with people, where we can look each other in the eyes and say, hey, how are you feeling? To now, me sitting here, and now I've got this setup of, like, you know, looking at you guys on a projector that's like, you know, 8 feet high. Yep. My phone is now my webcam, my laptop's here, this projector's here, and I'm like, wow. Sam, I'm going a little bit tech crazy.
Yeah, no, well, I think everyone is. I think if you look at a really old industry like real estate, or, you know, estate agents, so basically they had to switch overnight from using horrible things like faxes to having quite a lot of their staff furloughed. So the bosses have to actually take care of everything, and then doing everything online and doing it all digital. And yes, they made some mistakes, but actually it was kind of a process that should have been happening over 10 years. They basically did in a week. And every kind of business is doing, I mean, you know, my agency and teaching, it's all virtual, it's not the same. And you have to try and keep that kind of mental health stuff going as much as you can. You have to try and recognize when people are struggling a bit, and it's not easy. Whereas when you're in the office or when you're in uni, you can see when people have got a problem. You go for a little walk and it's all cool, but you just can't see the signs. Also, Zoom calls are knackering. So I don't know about you, but I spend all day doing Zoom calls. Boom, 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 boom. And I've read about this. Basically, we struggle So like most of our communication is non-verbal, right? And when we're in a Zoom call, and we've basically got this two-dimensional person that we're looking at, our brains are struggling to kind of work out the stuff that we should be talking to. You know, we're struggling to work out what people are saying and how they're saying it or how they're feeling. And our brains are working much, much harder. Plus, probably we've got two screens going on and we're doing something else at the same time. So we're never going back as well, I'm afraid. So, you know, it's kind of weird it's weird to imagine going back to normal. In fact, my company is probably not going to go back to normal at all. So we worked out we're quite, you know, we're a bunch of geeks and designers. We're quite happy working at home, and we'll probably go to the office maybe 1 or 2 days a week. Sorry, and one of those days is to the pub when the pub's open. So there's good things and bad things. And yeah, you Nick, I know you a lot, and I know you a lot more than Melissa, right? So I know you're very you know, you want to be in amongst it and you want to be amongst people, and you're the kind of person that will go absolutely nuts when they're on their own for a long period of time, right? So I guess, whereas I'm quite happy actually.
Yeah.
I quite like my little life. It's different. But there you go. Miss people, miss my. There's a mentor of mine who's got this thing when, you know, everyone starts with saying, "How are you?" And you said, yeah, I'm great. Oh, well, actually, I'm not really great.
Yeah.
Think of it as 4 things, okay? You've got your family, you've got your friends, you've got your health, and then you've got your work, okay? And there's many of things like this, but the idea is you're balanced. You're trying to get all balanced, right? So, yeah, Nick, how's your pillars? How's your health? Go on. Play the game.
Not too bad. Okay, I'd say probably 7 out of 10. No, 6.5 out of 10.
Okay, friends?
I'm not eating very well. Friends, pretty solid, but all virtual, really.
Family?
I'd say that I'm not enough contact with family.
And then
so that one's yeah.
And then work.
Work. Again, yeah, all of them are below, like I'd say below a 7 out of 10, because it's just so much is just all over the place. You know, work is technically amazing. You know, Retribe is going from strength to strength. But just in terms of like, we're trying to help people with all this uncertainty, but I'm still feeling it. I know Melissa is still feeling it. I know that, you know, Michelle, who you know is coming on board, and we're all kind of just juggling all this stuff that's going on. So I'd say my 4 pillars are average-ish, a little bit below average.
Fair enough. That's cool. Yeah. Do you want to play the game, Melissa?
Say it again?
You want to play?
Sure, I'll play.
Okay, so all right, let's start with work.
I would say, am I doing it out of 10?
You can do it whatever. You can just say, it's okay, it's could be better. Or great.
It is very good. Work is very good.
Okay, cool. Health.
So I'm not going to answer any question easily, am I? So health is going to break down into my mental health game is strong. My spiritual game is strong. My physical game is, well, they're all connected. I'm going to say it's good. My health is good.
Cool. All right, friends.
Friends. I have beautiful friends. Most of them are not in the same country as me, and I haven't seen them without Zoom or a camera for a long time.
Yeah, so bit sucky, right?
So it's
and then family.
Yeah, it's this. I put them in the same category as my friends. It's the same, like beautiful, very close. But I've meant to be back in Canada twice already, and I haven't been able to leave. So there's definitely like a weight in my heart. So it's heavy. It's not ideal.
Yeah, so there you go. That's what you do. Next time someone asks you how you doing, you go through your 4 things, 4 pillars. You say, my pillars are okay, thanks.
Yeah, I thought it was such an amazing just experiment to watch Nick in his awareness of saying, I'm great. Because I think that's the presenter in Nick. That's like the person who has to be on it all the time. And then in that second of like, wait a second, let me really answer that. I think it's a really beautiful thing to witness with people, and especially to encourage that in other people. Like, no, like I don't ask you how you are so you can give me a generic answer. Yeah, I'm fine. Because I don't think anyone's been fine relatively for a really long time, right? What is that? The scope of being fine has changed so much.
Yeah,
What is fine anymore, right?
I think I feel kind of lucky at the moment. I've got a job.
Yeah.
Got 2 jobs actually. Sorry. Um, I've got my family with me,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they bring me cups of tea and stuff because they're furloughed, which is great. I'm missing my daughter who's up north, like like something's been chopped off. But
Yeah.
apart from that, that's kind of cool. And I'm missing my friends,
Yeah.
yeah, because no one can get them. But I've got work, and I'm kind of vaguely healthy, so
Yeah.
that is as much as you can ask right now.
It is kind of a position to be in. That's I've noticed this with some of the people I support and myself as well, is that there's almost this survivor's guilt kind of thing where like I'm afraid to tell people that I'm grateful because I have a job when so many people have lost their job. And it's like this weird kind of navigation between saying I'm okay, like this is okay. There's this weird guilt that comes with it. I don't know if that's something you both of you have experienced. That's
Yeah,
been,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, the other thing that's kind of changed, we're talking about the tech changing and like overnight. The other thing that's changed for us and for a lot of the kind of people that I talk to is, I'm not going to say the flood, but the kind of move away from London as a thing. So a lot of the agencies that I've talked to have basically said, they've been picking up work. So I live in Malvern, but my agency is in Cheltenham and my uni is in Worcester, right? So it's Midlands. And we're picking up lots more kind of clients than we used to, because I think people want to, suddenly London doesn't seem a very good idea for a little while. People have realized that they want a house with a home office and a garden. So people are kind of moving out of London.
Yeah.
And also they've realized that actually it doesn't really matter where you are anymore. And that is a good thing. Nick, you've been saying for this for years, and so have I. And you two worked, across the Atlantic for a long while, right? So
Yeah.
that whole kind of geography thing, that's good. And I hope we don't forget that when this ends. If it will end, it will end. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about that.
It will change, it will evolve. And I do like I have moved into the West End, because it's been a lifelong kind of ambition of mine to live here, and also to have some kind of location in Soho, which we now have. But I don't think I've ever felt like the whole idea of how office environments are, like we know that that's going to change. But the funny thing is, Sam, and this is something that I felt more with you than anyone that we've done this live with, is that before we hit the live button, you got up to put your jacket on.
Yeah.
And normally because we've known each other a long time and we've seen each other quite a lot. So I feel your energy. I know what you feel like. And for you to be able to get up, put your jacket on, I was like, there's something missing here. I could physically feel like, I can't feel Sam like I would normally feel him when, maybe it's because you're big on the projector too. So I'm like, it's like you're like not a ghost, but I was missing something. And I think that's what really hit me this morning, is that I really do miss, physical contact with my friends, not just people in my recovery community or something, but actual friends, people who've had connections with for years.
Yeah, well, I tell you what I'm missing, is I speak to my team members every day, and we do like a stand-up thing, and it's really good. I miss hugging them. You're a bit of a hugger, and so am I, and that there's no point kind of going back to the office. There's no point going back to the pub if you can't actually be properly with people. So there's no point going back if you're going to be in this little kind of perspex box type things. It's just what's the point? You might as well stay at home.
I had this really weird example pop in my head. I may be really off, but it just came. When after Michael Jackson died, the company who does holograms had a concert with him, and it was so real that people are actually getting messed up, because it was kind of the same experience, but it wasn't. There was that piece that was missing, that added to the authenticity, the love, the joy, the all the things. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but there is something about being in the physical, like tangible, visceral presence of a person that we can't grasp and that we're all missing. Anyway, that was the example that popped. Like it's still it's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was hard to distinguish if it was real or not because it felt very real, even though we all knew he was dead. There was nothing in our brains to say this guy is not in front of us, other than we knew. So I just felt that that was really interesting. It's like this thing that we can't really touch or hold, but that's what we want, is to physically just touch somebody else or give a hug, after everyone saying that if we hug somebody, we're going to kill them. That's really the message of the media, right? And all the things like your hug will kill somebody. That's like a hard thing for the heart to take, I think.
Weird, isn't it? And the idea that you're if you're a good person and you help if you help people, the more you help people, you're actually doing worse.
Right.
Which is, it's kind of, I think that was one of Chris Whitty's thing that he said. He was sort of like, if you want to be a good person, don't be good, just stay where you are.
Pretend you've got COVID. I've actually had COVID, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, I tested positive for it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago, beginning.
You're okay.
Yeah, I'm a survivor, man.
That's good.
But I'll tell you, because I want to get onto another podcast, one of the biggest podcasts in the world, where Joe Rogan talks to Elon Musk, and I want to kind of get into this tech thing because that's where you don't mind me calling you a geek.
It was on business for years. Don't worry.
Yeah, just not a nerd, right? Nerd's bad. Geek is good.
Geek.
Okay, learn that, everybody. And we're talking about now where we've had such huge advancements over the last 20 years, and they're going to continue to grow and grow and grow. But where is this kind of balance of AI and VR and augmented reality that are so much fun, especially in your world of creativity, using tech in a creative? Because I know you call yourself a creative tech person. And it's really, really fun, but where is it going to be a detriment, and where are the lines going to be kind of drawn where, again, we can make sure that we keep that physical contact with people, but also, like, what do you see the growth of tech over the next 5 to 10 years with this neural net and us being downloaded into computers and all that kind of stuff?
There's a lot of questions in there. Let's just pick one off, shall we? So let's go AR stuff, augmented reality. First thing to say about augmented reality is it's old, really old, and it keeps coming back in waves, and now it seems to be kind of building up again. I can't remember when it did, but basically I remember it being on, Cocoa Pops or something, which was perfect, and that was years and years and years and years ago. And it's weird how these kind of things come in waves. And COVID has actually brought a few things back that were just dead and buried. QR codes, for example. No one used QR code. It was like every marketing manager ever wanted a QR code. Why? And now, because it's contactless and you can do all that kind of stuff without touching things, it's become its time. So a lot of these things, like VR as well, is also really old. There is a Orbital album from 1994 or 5 that's got a VR thing on the front of it. This is old stuff. It just goes in waves, and they're quite niche quite a lot of the time. So virtual reality stuff, yes, it's great, and there's some really good applications of it, games being always the first one. Things like real estate, again, keep coming back to real estate. So, having a walk around in fact, there's a TV program, isn't there, about that? But for day-to-day life, not there yet, So it will just die away or become niche. And then the other one you said was about AI, right? And man, I've got a whole lecture on this. AI is interesting because it's that people either think of Terminator or they think of kind of Robbie the robot helping us, and there doesn't seem to be anything in between. But of course it's in between. So there's basically AI with a capital A and I. That's kind of things like IBM Watson, where it's really clever at working out, you crunching loads of stuff and it telling you the answer. And then there's little AI, which is kind of stuff that I usually do, or programmers do, which is basic programming rules or algorithms. So if this, then that. So little AI is basically what programmers do. And that's been around since programming has been around. And lots of kind of, especially in startup world, people get confused between the little AI and the big AI. So it's basically only as evil as we think it is. That's kind of, again, I've got an hour's lecture on this, but not for now. That's my conclusion. It's only as evil as we think it is. Right? Yeah. It is getting more frightening, and there are some more things. There is definitely jobs that are disappearing because of AI, and I'm going to say AO with even a small a and I. If you look at my world of web design, it used to take ages to build a web page by hand, and now you can do it in seconds with clicking a little button, or get a little computer thing to do it for you. And that, has it lost jobs? Well, maybe, but actually it's kind of made the industry a bit more clever and a bit more, we do different things now. So the other, I'm waffling now, sorry. There are some amazing podcasts on this, by the way, about science and how there's a, what is it called? I'm gonna have to get you back to you on this one, but there's a thing about technology that has built humans basically, and it has things like bricks. So there's a whole podcast on bricks, which is sounds really boring, but it's kind of fundamental. There's another one on GPS systems. There's another one on Excel sheets and spreadsheets. And spreadsheets is like the AI of the 70s, 80s. In that accountants stopped doing all the kind of adding up by hand, and then got to do some more creative stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have another one in here now, is that the technology that everyone has gotten used to and seems to now most demographics use it, is social media. So the interesting part of that is, I'm interested to know, because of your feelings of like, how social media has been used over the years to influence elections, to how we're basically just commodities for eyeball space, eyeball time on YouTube and Twitter, and now we've got now we're actually seeing repercussions of the misuse of social media in such a way on a political and global scale, and what's going on in the United States. And I'm, and we're talking to people now via, the biggest platform, Facebook. Well, one of the biggest platforms, if you, whatever, with content, YouTube. But how do you how do you manage it? Because I'm interested to know, because I know like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, they don't let their kids on social media. Like all these tech CEOs and stuff, because we are like, if you have social media, you are a commodity. How do you kind of manage it? And what do you say to people that are in like spending hours and hours on it a day now, because we're locked in? Like my user time, my screen time has just gone skyrocket to over 5 hours a day. Yep. On my phone. It used to be 2 to 3. So what pitfalls, and well, go both ways, good things and bad things of what's happening with social media.
Okay, so when you've been around for as long as I have, you see these kind of waves and cycles again. The thing that I say to my clients is focus on one or maybe 2 channels and work out which channel is right for your audience. So yes, I've got a Facebook account and I've got a Twitter account and I've got a everything account, but I never use them. I learn what it's for because they're all tools, right? But I just never bother. LinkedIn is my one thing that I kind of keep up to date with. You can't do everything, basically, and nor should you do everything. And if you're a brand, then your audience is on primarily on one of those platforms. So that's where you concentrate on. So if you're a very visual brand, it's Instagram. If it's a brand like Retribe, it's Facebook. If you want kind of mass shouty people, then it's Twitter. So you can't do it all is lesson number one, and turn it off is lesson number two, and then have a friend that tells you off when you use these things too much. So my friend that tells me off is Michelle, actually. So she banned me from Twitter for 6 months. Actually. Well, she said, don't, just stop it. And I did. And then my life was much happier for it.
Wow.
So you just...
I think she's watching.
Is she? There you go. Well, he'll be laughing at this point. I actually went on Twitter this morning just for some research, and then just found myself just going down the rabbit hole. It's like, no, stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's all nonsense. And you said about feeding the machine, and the machine that I feed the most is Google, basically, because we all do, right? So if you're a brand or if you're whatever, you basically have to play Google's game to get your page up the ranking. So you have to feed the machine. You have to do what it wants you to do. You have to change whatever it wants every 6 months. That's basically what we're all become, which is quite frightening.
It's strange. It's like we have to learn the system. We have to become experts of it. So if we want to like do anything to change it, we actually have to know it first and be part of the game properly, become an expert in the game before we can even try to like change it, which is basically what Retribe, I think part of our thing is to change up the conversations around health, wellness, identity, all the things. But in order to do that, in order to get clients, quote unquote, we have to advertise on Facebook and Google and all the things that already my brain is like overwhelmed by. But yeah, it's such an interesting relationship that you have to cultivate with these things because they're real and we can't just ignore them because life is kind of moving around them too. So it's that engagement that's for me, it's a lot to process and make peace with, right? I like to like resist and fight and all this stuff. I'm like, nah, I can't.
Yeah, make peace with I think is the key thing. So make peace with the fact you can't do everything, and make peace with the fact that you've got to play the game every now and then.
Yeah.
And make peace as well. And this is a kind of critical thing that I have with my students, for example, is that whatever you learn about Google or Facebook, whatever, you have to change every year. Because you have to make peace with the fact. And the first time it happens, this is kind of why I'm into web design, because every 2 years you have to learn it all again. And I love that, right? So you have to, the first time you have to learn it all again, it's just really annoying. But the second time it's like, oh yeah, okay, fine. Pick it up. And the changes are coming faster and faster and faster.
So, you know, when you were talking about we have to, and Melissa, you were talking about this too, it's like we have to learn how the system works. So I know that even, geez, this would have been about 10 years ago now, I think we were talking about Google and how, like, if you, in your website, like if you're a company and you build so many back pages with keywords, you know, they were ways of being able to not bust Google, but to get at the top of the rankings. So there were all these hacks.
Yeah.
So basically becoming a hack is like hacking these systems is becoming an expert in it. And basically, is that our journey then, is to all learn how to hack systems, you know, in our even rudimentary way of learning it, like shortcuts on Facebook and stuff?
No, you just give people like me a call and we'll tell you how to do it.
Thank you.
And then when it doesn't work after 6 months, we say, oh yeah, well, that's changed.
Yeah.
Which actually some of our clients get really angry at, because they're like, but you told us to do this. And we said, well, yeah, that worked last year. Yeah, the game.
Can I ask your opinions on the role of free speech in the social media? Because it's been like, at least from in my kind of scope of thing, of conversation, you know, the Twitter banned Donald Trump from Twitter. And there's been some like, okay, finally, because of the just dumbness that he is. That's my opinion. But the things he says can be, there's a lot of hate, I think, around it. But then at the same time, he does have a right to use a platform, kind of. But Twitter is a privately owned company in a public space. So do they have the right? Anyway, I'm just curious to hear both of your thoughts around free speech and the way that our use of social media can, even Zoom, right? Like, does Zoom have the right to censor webinars that are done from like places of free speech or hate, for lack of a better word? Anyway, that's my question. Free speech
So
and social media.
I thought it was interesting when they did ban Trump, Twitter banned Trump, and the rest of them followed. What they said was, yeah, we banned him because he's, these are our policies and this is why we banned him. And they basically said, by the way, it really shouldn't be us banning him. There needs to be legislation. We need to, give us legislation to have, and we would have banned him a lot sooner. Otherwise, it's down to Twitter or Zoom or TikTok or whoever it is. And these companies are huge and they're good at dodging stuff, especially tax, and they're good at dodging, if they don't like a legislation in one area, they'll go to another one. But they do need sort of like some kind of one code of contact that's global, and they haven't got that. So I think that's my copyright as well as the other thing. That's kind of the flip side, I suppose, of free speech is copyrights. So if you make Harry Potter background and you start using it, have you got the copyright for that? You don't know. You just found it somewhere on Zoom, right?
Right.
So there, for me, it's a really interesting one, and it's about governance. And there's a huge missing piece of the puzzle. Nick?
I think that people go to mass social media sites like Twitter for, let's say they go there for their news, but they go there for, the fulfillment, right? So we know that all of these platforms have been built for like the fulfillment of the user, the likes, the little red bell that goes when and they're all algorithm planned to give you likes at a certain time to keep you checking your phone. I think the Facebook interface was designed by the same guys who designed the slot machines in Vegas. So they were all designed to keep the user in it. And ultimately, Melissa too, right? They're, like you said, they're private. So and I'm wondering whether this is so people are not only going there to see how crazy Donald Trump is, they're going there for their own dopamine hits that they get. And I'm wondering whether or not, so say, and I don't know what the balance would be, but is maybe say with our little micro social network that we've created, like we've got 85 people in a little social network where, Melissa, I know you and I were like, we'll make it community governed, so that if people post certain things, like, are we going to kick them off, or are we going to say, hey, what's up? Why are you posting that? And then maybe is this the future of like smaller social networks where people are going to connect? Maybe they go to and it's community police. Is that the right word? Community governed. And is what's the future of mass social networks if that could be the case? If people get more satisfaction of coming to a smaller tribal community.
I think that's one of the ways. I think we talked about that when you start a retribe, that there's a way to grow a platform, and there's a way to grow a social network platform, which is small, focused, dedicated people that then invite their friends, and it grows very, very small, and then it gets to a point. Rather than, we've gone off topic, sorry, Melissa. Where rather than where you think it's going to go, which is you pay loads of advertising, you get shed loads of users, but actually those users are not 100% engaged. And I do think when you look at kind of how Facebook is trying to go, because it's so big, and it's getting into trouble for buying other companies to grow further, like Instagram and all that kind of stuff, it's realized that actually the groups and the smaller communities is kind of where things go to after a certain amount of time.
Mm.
So yeah, I think this kind of smaller niche, and the idea that we've got that we have different sides of our personalities that need to be met by different smaller groups, which is kind of how we do it in real life. Going back to the original thing, I think is kind of the way that social networks are going to go. Does that mean that you've got a social network for each one, or does it mean you've got one social network that does does all this for you? Don't know.
I think we're on a path of like, probably people are going to be trying different versions of it until, you know, we get to the one. Will Facebook blow up and then become kind of fragmented into smaller versions of it? I don't know. It's interesting. I also think it's interesting that I think that Twitter were within their rights, and Facebook were within their rights, back to Melissa's question, of banning whoever they want, because it is not free speech. It is a platform to say what you want, and there are guidelines with it. So I think with regards to an American, their First Amendment, they didn't infringe on that at all. So I would have blocked him a long time ago personally.
Yeah, me too.
Because
I kind of am sitting with is like, you had nothing's really changed. He was saying the same thing because he had a Twitter account. So why now? Is it because a bunch of people stormed the Capitol and all of a sudden the ramifications are more visible? So that's always like, why? Like, what's the why behind now? Because all the things he was saying, nobody should be surprised that this was the result of it. So that's always my thing, is like, what is, people are, whether you're Twitter, you're always benefiting from whatever traffic you're getting. So in terms of like making the call to ban, like, what is the reason behind that? I don't know. I don't
Well,
have an answer for it, but
I'll do a stab. So I think it's about power, and it's about so the guidelines, the Twitter's guidelines, are there to basically serve the company and serve the shareholders, right? This is Sam's cynical view of the world, right? So if you banned Donald Trump, let's say 2 years ago when he was mid-prime, then Twitter's traffic would go down and it wouldn't be part of the news story and blah, blah, blah. But he was really good at tweeting on a Saturday night, knowing he'd be in the papers on Sunday. The more outrageous and the more ridiculous, the better. Okay. And I think, you know, he is literally on the way out now. And I think that was the turning point where he didn't have the power and it had public opinion, and it would have looked bad to the company that is Twitter, like 2 weeks ago, that it wouldn't have done 2 years ago.
right.
So I think it's about public opinion, and it's about share price.
I'm just smiling.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Sorry, Nick,
it
go on.
totally is. They kept him there for his 70 million followers, because it was, I likened it to about 12 years ago or 13 years ago, maybe, when Charlie Sheen went on his Tiger Blood rants on Twitter.
That was good.
And we were in Smokehouse Yard in Clerkenwell then, and I remember every morning getting on the train going, I can't wait to get to the office to check my Twitter feed to see how Charlie Sheen, because it was just car crash in action, right? You know, and that was the whole thing. That's why I followed Donald Trump, because I just liked his insanity. And then I loved reading all of the followers, and I was sitting on the toilet doing this just for an hour going, you goofball, you idiot, you freak, how could you, like, just clogging but it was pure entertainment. So I feel really bad that I did it. But that's what I think, it kept me in Twitter, and that's every social media's job, is to keep our eyeballs attracted to them. So it was a total business decision that they kept them there, and one that was done when they banned them now, just to appease, the anti-violent movement, I suppose.
But this is going back to Sam, your point of governance, right? It can't, when you're talking about like the president of a country or the leader of a country, and it's seen as entertainment, like that feels like, okay, somebody's got to step in at some point, like have some sort of cushioning around where the politics is and where the government policies are, because it's become meshed, right? And with mainstream media too, like you can't distinguish. It's like WWE wrestling, right? You know it's fake, but you still show up. It's almost politics has become that kind of same thing. I'm gonna go on a rant. My coffee is kicking in, but I don't want. So it's become the same thing where we all know it's like a hot mess, especially with a pandemic, especially with all the things that are being framed within certain contexts. Yet we're showing up to watch it and being entertained by it. And I'm just curious about, what the hell's waiting for us next year or in 5 months or next week even. That's all.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we got our own stuff going on without even worrying about America as well.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly.
We didn't even get into that. We're running out of time. Sam, I want to try to give some viewers the kind of a tech update, some kind of life hack, some tips on how to navigate through this last little bit of lockdown. Hopefully that it is the last bit of lockdown. How to embrace this thing and make technology your ally rather than something that's detrimental to you.
Okay. Anyone in particular you're talking about, or everybody? You, Melissa?
Both of all of us, and the
to be honest,
and the What's on it Elephant Castle Facebook community too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what my biggest tip to my students is turn it off and go for a walk. Do not let it go. Do not let it rule your life. Do not let your social network rule the life. Do not let, we're doing a lot of screen time, and then all of our entertainments are also becoming screen time. So whether you're doing like a group chat with your friends or a quiz or watching National Live Theatre or whatever it is, it's all still screen time. So turn it off, go for a walk. There you go.
Can't get much more simpler than that. Amazing.
That's my advice.
Sam, what are the next few months in stall for you with regards to practically and teaching?
So it's all virtual for teaching, which means I've realized actually that it's really hard to teach certain things online. And I really feel for the kind of university teaching is easy because basically they all want to be there. And if they don't want to be there for that lesson because they've got a hangover or whatever, they don't turn up. Fine. I don't know how school teachers manage to actually get across lesson and to get across content, but also to kind of do the crowd management stuff. I don't have to worry about any of that. So I'm switching quite a lot of my teaching because there's just some stuff I just can't do. I've got a module about where I teach them how to do HTML, web HTML, because my view is if you can't be a web designer if you don't know how it's put together. Okay. But I can't do it. I can't do that virtually because I normally just, go to the machine and go, no, do it like this, do it like this. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. So there's a lot of changes that I still need to write, to be honest, for this semester. And then practically work is just really, really, really busy, doing some very cool things. Doing some big old app type things and doing quite a lot of branding stuff, a lot of SEO stuff. It's just insane. It has been since March of last year. It's been frightening. Everyone wants a website.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. Well, you do our website, so I'm happy about that too.
Yeah, including you. I actually think we've done as a company, we've done our best work since then as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about the next phase of Retribe, which you're going to get a big brief from us in the next few weeks.
Well, I'm going to tell you what you're doing with your lives, aren't I? Isn't that the plan?
What's that? Yes, you are. Yeah, we're going to do a big brainstorm, like an exercise, a branding exercise with you. But we're right now collecting all the information, which is fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, it's cool.
You. Appreciate it.
Lots of love, brother. Looking forward to the future. I've enjoyed our journey so far, and for the future and everything. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Soon. Thanks everybody at the What's on Elephant Castle Facebook page. We'll be having our workshop as normal on Thursday at 11 a.m. We'll see you then. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.